Hey, I'm Jason Wood, the VA Loan Guy and host of the Armed and Ready podcast. Please come and check out this exciting episode we have for you. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Armed and Ready podcast. I am your host, Jason Wood, the VA Loan Guy. Today we have Army veteran Chris Snyder joining us. Chris, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having me, Jason. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So you have a pretty cool background. You come from a family of veterans, right? Dads, uncles, big tradition in your family, which I think is super cool that you carried it on, and the fact that so many people in your family have served. So tell us a little bit about your service. You're in the Army. I know you got deployed a few times, and kind of bring us into what you're doing now. But how'd you get into the Army? I mean, I know there was some influence there. Did you go straight out of high school, or how'd you do it?
I joined kind of late. I was 27. I had my own business at the time. Kind of just, it wasn't really, I wasn't passionate about it. And I had wanted to join the Army since I was a kid, you know, playing with the GI Joes. My grandfather is in World War II. That's actually his flag back behind me, as you can see. It's just been a family tradition. And, you know, around 27, I'm like, you know what? I can't wait any longer. I'm not getting any younger. I have to do this, you know, now or never. And just things just fell in line. I joined. I did the minimum, the 3 years initially, and signed up for infantry. I did the airborne school thing. I wanted all that. I wanted to jump out of the airplanes, do all that cool stuff. I ended up re-enlisting for 5 years, so I liked it enough to do that.
That's cool. So did you do 8 total?
No, I actually ended up getting out a little early. I sustained a few injuries, and I just wasn't recovering fast enough. Just, you know, getting older, and you know it is.
Yeah. Was it interesting going in? I mean, a lot of people, and I know, you know, when I joined too, I joined a little bit later. I was in college, but pretty much everybody who was in was, you know, fresh out of high school, the majority anyways, right? So they're 18 and, you know, you're coming in at 27. Was that odd at all or awkward for you?
Yeah, I mean, at first, yeah. I think I would like to say that I'm humble enough to understand that my squad leader at the time might have been 21 years old, and I had a lot more life experience than me, but he had a lot more military experience. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, initially, it's like, this guy is, you know, almost 10 years younger than me. He's my boss, essentially. I felt like being the older guy, though, had a little bit of benefit, because I think I got left alone a little bit by some. I didn't get messed with as much as some of the younger guys did. And you know what? I would end up helping my boss with his taxes, or, you know, like his mortgage stuff. Yeah. Just, I've dealt with that, you know, prior to the military, so it worked out well for me, I think, in that regards, for sure.
You got deployed a couple times. Well, Afghanistan was one of your deployments, right?
Just the one time, yeah, to Afghanistan, yeah. Roughly 10 months, OAF 12 into 13. It was 12 to 13.
How was that?
One of my things about Afghanistan is it's a beautiful country, absolutely gorgeous. The mountain ranges, just there's a lot of different tribes and cultures. I mean, there really is a lot of culture there that's a lot of people don't talk about. Most people think Afghanistan's a desert when, you know, one of their biggest exports is lumber. You know what I mean? It's just, wow. It's not all like deserts. It's mountains, and it's gorgeous land, and it really is a gorgeous country, for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, all we see on the news here is kind of that desert landscape, you know, and in the barren mountains.
They show all the doom and gloom, but they don't show you the beautiful parts of it. You know, obviously the combat is there, but I like to think about the mountains personally.
Yeah. So, what'd you do when you got out?
I kind of had a pretty solid plan. I think a lot of infantry guys, I was infantry, they have these illusions of grandeur. They think they're going to get out and, you know, make $200,000 a year doing the security contracting. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of one of those guys. I was like, yeah, I'll just do that. And, you know, didn't think about it up until probably about a year and a half, 2 years from my separation date. I was like, you know what? Let's be smart about this. Let's have like a backup plan, and then a backup plan, like 2 or 3 backup plans. College, you know, have a job possibly lined up, you know. And I was like, you know what? I grew up building computers, doing kind of nerdy stuff on the side as a hobby. You know, why don't I explore some type of field, you know, IT field? Where is that going to take me? Yeah. And I ended up getting out of the service, going to UNF in Jacksonville, just to use some of the GI Bill and kind of buy me some time to look for a job. And I ended up getting hired on as a entry level, just service desk technician, basic IT help, like support. You go fix, plug in people's mice and keyboards, do all that stuff.
Get their printers working.
Yeah, it's like my monitor's not working. Come help me, Chris. I'm like, all right, all right. And that kind of segued into a security job. I'm now in cybersecurity, and it's going really well. Um, and it's kind of the direction I wanted to go getting out of the military. I know I wanted to do IT, and I know eventually I wanted to start doing some type of engineering or whatever. But then I got a little taste of the cybersecurity stuff, blue team, which is like defending against hackers, detecting them, investigating it, a little bit of digital forensics. That kind of stuff interested me. So that's pretty much what I'm doing now. I'm a security analyst at a cybersecurity firm.
Nice. Cyber warfare, cybersecurity is a big deal these days. What is it like? Like, how do you detect? Like, how do you, like, it's not like you're going on Google and like, hey, show me the bad guys, right? Like,
right.
So how do you do this stuff? I mean, it's just kind of like a buzzword to those of us that aren't computer savvy. But what can you share with us a little bit about like the how you do it or what you do?
Yes. So my company in particular, we essentially have appliances that our customers use that runs alongside their network traffic. So let's say this is their network traffic. Our devices run in parallel, right? In real time, we're able to analyze the data that goes across their network. The attacker doesn't realize that we're monitoring this, right? So we're able to monitor in real time and respond to that. So if there's an active attack, we'll reach out to the client, let them know, hey, this happened or this is happening. It's an ongoing thing. You may want to look into it, whatever. That's like the general gist of it. Is we monitor the traffic for anything out of the ordinary and try to prevent major breaches or attacks if we can.
You guys obviously see something, right? If someone attempts, then it triggers you guys in a way, right?
Yeah, we have an alerting system built in. It's we build these custom rules, so they'll alert us based on what triggered that rule, right? We'll look at it. Part of the analyst's job is to analyze that alert. Say, hey, is this a real thing? Is this a hacker? Is this just noise? And that's where the cream of the crop. That's where meat and potatoes is. We analyze traffic. We let the client know, hey, this is a real deal. You need to look into this, take care of this immediately, or we can just tell them, hey, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
In your line of work, do you have to have like a background in like coding or writing software, or what kind of things would be helpful for, like, if someone was looking to maybe head down that career path?
I literally had a text from a buddy about 10 minutes ago before we started. He's like, hey man, so how do I get into this? Cause he's actually getting ready to get out himself, coming off a 12-year career. And he sees me, I'm a happy guy. I enjoy what I do. We're really good friends. He's like, hey, so how do I get into this? How do I get started? My advice would be to, if you don't have an IT background already, start trying to get one. There's a lot of beginner courses online for free. Vet Tech is a pretty good program. I think you're probably aware of that one. If they don't run out of funding, that is. I mean, you got to get in on that one early. But there's a lot of free stuff available for veterans training wise. Vet, I think it's FedVet TE. They do some free cybersecurity training. But the biggest thing is if you don't have any experience, go out, study, get some an entry level certification. Like CompTIA, they have some pretty good ones. They have A+, Security Plus. Those are kind of like the base ones to get you started. Okay. That would be my recommendation. That gets your foot in the door, either at a a service job, or maybe if you're lucky, an entry level cybersecurity gig, or even an internship at a cybersecurity place. I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with your background and your willingness to learn on your own and apply that. And your resume. Your resume's got to look pretty decent.
Yeah, and those certifications help. I know I have a friend who's in the Marine Corps in kind of like that cyberspace, and he was just telling me, that there's a lot of really cool opportunities active duty especially if you're in that field, to get some of these civilian certifications. Like you go through the similar courses, right? But the military pays for it and you get it for free. So you can stack up all these certifications, and then when it's time to pull chocks and go civilian, you're ready to roll.
The thing about being active duty is tuition assistance. I think that covers some of the certification costs. I mean, I've been out for a few years now, so I'm not 100% sure about that. But I know that that's still a thing where you can take, college courses while you're active duty. Because I did it. I took a few. Even when I was in Afghanistan, I knocked out a couple classes. But, they mailed you a book, and you're just like, the middle of the side of a mountain somewhere. You're like, okay, I guess I'll work on this, in between activities.
Awesome, man. So, what would you say, is there anything that you take, any lessons or leadership advice or things that kind of resonated with you from your time while serving, or maybe even advice since you have so much family that was in the military? Just any sort of like sound kind of leadership military advice that you still kind of carry with you today that resonates?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest thing, and I actually get complimented on a lot of times, is I come off as level-headed often. I think a lot of that has to do with how I frame things. Framing things is like, let's say you get a flat tire, instead of saying, oh man, I got a flat tire, be like, well, hey, I'm going to get a little workout today. You know what I mean? It's like taking a negative, some type of event, turning it into a positive, and just literally all throughout your day, try doing that. And that will carry you through so many things. So many difficult times in your life, you will just blow by them and you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. I got through that, no problem. Cool. And then another thing is like with the family you had mentioned is, for maybe some of the family members of service members, getting out of the service, you gotta understand you're kind of like in a little time capsule when you're in the military. Even like you and I, we joined late, we had a little bit of life experiences. There was still an adjustment period getting back. I mean, I got caught up in the Robin Hood syndrome where you're just kind of like, a lot of your responsibilities you had prior to the military like kind of went away for a while, and then you get back into the real world and you're like, oh man, I got all this stuff to do. And some of that can be overwhelming for a lot of veterans getting out, especially ones that joined when they were younger. They joined when they're 18. They went from parents' house to being, parented by the military. And then they get out and they're like, I still don't know how to do my taxes. It's so, I mean, that would be the biggest thing is, just be patient with your family members when they get out of service. If, that is something they had to deal with.
No, I think that's good advice. I see a lot in the mortgage space, active duty members who, straight out of high school and go into the military. And, military doesn't teach you some of the basic things, bouncing checkbooks, paying bills, doing your taxes, right? I mean, that all that stuff is basically handled for you, to what you wear, what you eat, where you sleep. Like, so you don't have to think about a lot of that stuff, which is great. I mean, for training and having a military, that's exactly what you want. But when it comes to application in the civilian world, there's a learning gap there. So yeah, I see that quite a bit. What kind of advice would you give somebody who is planning their separation from the military? Maybe the contract is coming up in a couple of years. And they're thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to re-enlist. I'm going to jump back into the civilian world. What tips would you suggest for them?
So the first thing is, if you know when you're getting out, that's a good start. Some people, they don't. The medical separation might come up. It doesn't, admin separation, whatever. But if you have a good idea of when you're getting out, a year or two out, start planning then. Don't wait till you're in the TAPS or whatever they call it now, like the final, you do your fake interviews and all that stuff. Don't wait till then. Start doing a year out. Tell your command, hey, I want to start preparing to get out, and they're supposed to take care of you in that regard. Have 1, 2, 3 plans. Don't just plan on one thing, because if that thing doesn't work out, I mean, you're kind of stuck in a rut. I would suggest, at bare minimum, signing up for college. You may have to pay $30 for the application fee, but that's it. A couple hours of your time. Get registered at your local college where you plan on moving. The GI Bill is an absolute dream. I don't think a lot of people take advantage of it as they should. I mean, you get paid to go to school. They pay for all your books and everything. I would say do that first as a primary goal. Then work on the career thing. Unless you have that lined up, then you could, inverse it. Right. But I highly suggest doing the college thing if you need it, and then lining up a job, and then maybe having a backup job, making sure your resume's tight. Do the LinkedIn thing. You get a free year of LinkedIn Premium as of I don't know if it's active year or veteran, but I know you get a free year. Yeah. Start networking. Networking has been my biggest benefit when I got out. Just guys I was in the military with, and a couple of my friends, they've actually ended up getting me jobs, or at least hooking me up with, a random security contract or, whatever. Yeah. And it was just people I was friends with in the military. You see day to day. Don't just, when you get out, just, say bye. Even when you move duty stations, keep in contact with these people, because just because you're doing the same job in the military absolutely does not mean that's what everyone's going to be doing when they get out. I have friends doing the complete opposite of what they were doing in the military. I mean, I was infantry, and I'm in IT, which is I think is the polar opposite.
Yeah, totally. You're not carrying a sack and a rifle anymore.
I don't think my back would appreciate that one.
No, I think, and you hear that old cliche, your network is your net worth, right? And probably not something that most military folks put a lot of thought into. When you're on the civilian side, I think you think about it more. But it truly is, as you were saying, super important. I know, just through my life, most of my jobs and things have been through my network. Someone referred me or put in a good word or said, hey, go talk to this guy, I'll introduce you or whatever. And that's what's put me in all these different positions, right?
Is that how you got into the mortgage industry?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. 100. I just fell into it based on a couple of my college buddies, right? And ended up becoming a career. And the current company I work with was just through kind of networking and knowing some people. And here we are here today at American Mortgage Network in my company. And but it's all been networking. It was never like I went on a website, found the apply now link, and then got a call, right? Like, and I've done that in the past. Like, never happens, right? I don't think I've ever gotten a job by going apply now on some company website. I don't think we've even got a call by doing that. So yeah, that networking thing is huge. And what's interesting too, when you think about that, is a lot of our brothers and sisters who were in the military and go out in the civilian world, a lion's share of them end up being pretty successful, right? I think inherently the discipline, kind of the thought process of project management, work ethic, that stuff doesn't leave you for most people, right? And so they're great contacts to have after the military, because they're usually doing something pretty good and probably looked at pretty highly by their superiors or whomever. So, they have a little influence, and there's a lot of weight in that. I really, really think that's good advice. So you mentioned before, and I gotta jump on this because real estate and mortgage is my space. But before you went into the military, you had a house, and I imagine now you do too. So tell us a little bit about your own kind of real estate experience, because that's a topic for military folks too, that there's a lot of unknowns and questions about, right?
Right. I bought my first house in 2018. I had gotten out in the Army 2017. I had started my new job early 2018. Bought a house in the area using the VA loan, very low rates, and essentially it was zero down. I mean, you could just roll any fees into that mortgage itself. I mean, you might have to wire a little bit of money just for the deposit or whatever, but it's not a big deal. And the process was not that painful, to be honest with you. I think the inspections are a little bit more intense, but other than that, it was, my realtor was great. The inspector was great. And then I got a better job up in Jacksonville. So I moved up here and ended up, my house that I'm in now, I bought in February. Same thing. I used the VA loan again. And, down the road, I might refinance into the interest rate, the IRRL loan.
The IRRL, yeah. Yeah, and drop your rate.
But it's all relatively easy. And I've seen your company, what you guys do, and I wish I had known about you before, because, I mean, it just looks laid out perfectly, easy to do, and streamlined everything. And I've actually sent a couple people to you, so hopefully they use your services.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's my passion, obviously, is serving our military community. So, the VA loan is, obviously I'm the VA loan guy, so that's my niche, that's my area of specialty. But the cool thing you mentioned there, and this is a really common myth that I get a lot, is you bought your next house with the VA loan. And I hear a lot of buzz, especially with guys active duty who haven't owned yet, are like, yeah, someone in my unit told me, wait till I buy the big house, the family house, when I'm all settled. And
Eric's lawyer.
yeah, don't do that, right? I mean, you're just leaving money on the table doing that. So, you can reuse the VA loan. It's a lifetime benefit. It never goes away. So, you can buy and sell. I've got clients that have a couple houses, both on VA loans, because entitlement worked out well for them in that way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a super, super good tool. And if you look at, there was a statistic that I read that, like 45 veterans that have retired and owned real estate are worth like $450,000 more net worth than someone who didn't own real estate, who was a veteran and hits retirement.
It's such a great benefit, and the rates are low. And then a lot of people don't know that if you refinance into an IRRL loan, you can use your VA loan again. So if you wanted to do maybe an investment property, tell me, I could be wrong, but
yeah, the IRRL loan is really cool. It stands for interest rate reduction refinance loan. So the neat benefit about that is if rates are lower than where you're currently at, it's a very, very reduced process. So the VA, it's probably the only thing in the government where they like use common sense, right? So they'll go like, hey Chris, yeah, right. They'll be like, hey Chris, you've been paying on your loan at 3.8% for a year, never missed a payment, and now rates are 2.8%, a whole percentage point lower. Kind of a no-brainer. If we reduce that payment, you wouldn't have an issue paying it, right? Because it's less, and you've paid more and been fine. So that's pretty much the approval process, right? So they don't make you do an appraisal. They don't make you requalify, meaning you don't have to reprove you can pay for the loan and all that stuff, because it's a no-brainer.
You've already done it.
Already done it. You've proven it with your actions. So it's really cool in that sense because it's quick, it's easy, pretty painless, and you can drop your rate. The other thing that is neat about the VA loan is, let's say you decide to move out of your house in Jacksonville and buy, somewhere else. Maybe you get another cool job and you got to come out here to San Diego or something.
I do have to, because I have to visit Dylan, so we're gonna have to link up for sure.
See, absolutely. But you could leave the VA loan on your Jacksonville house and put a tenant in there, make it a rental property, and then move, wherever the next place might be, and use VA loan again to buy the next house. So it just has to be intended to be your primary home each time that you use it. And there's a lot of detail that kind of goes into that, but it's super versatile. And I think the home run swing in using that is while you're active duty, while you're serving.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you have BAH, and that's tax-free money.
Free housing income. Why would you not use that to buy a house? And
yeah, and create a little bit of wealth for yourself and your own family, rather than just giving that away to somebody else, whether that's the housing authority or some renter or apartment complex.
I live on base and one of the probably substandard living, when you can live 10 minutes off of base and have a great house that you're building some wealth off of. Honestly, yeah. The guy I bought my house from, he was in the Navy. He PCS to another duty station, and he actually, it's funny, he saw that it was a VA loan, and that was part of his reason for accepting my offer.
Oh,
yeah. That worked out well. See, that's another example of
veterans help each other out, I guess.
Yeah. No, I see it here. In San Diego, there's a lot of military here, and I've seen some transactions where we're representing the buyer who's maybe active duty, and the seller. We had one recently, and the seller was a Vietnam era veteran, and there was a lot of offers on the house because the market's really hot. And he was like, I'd rather sell it to the military guy. And his offer wasn't the strongest, highest dollar or anything else. He's like, I'd rather hook him and his family up than, make an extra whatever X dollars by just selling to any average Joe. And so it worked out. That networking really connected him. And, the active Marine, he got his house, for his family.
Yeah, I bet he was thrilled and very appreciative. I actually met the couple that was selling me the house on my final walkthrough, and they were telling me like, yeah, like there's a little bit better offers, but we saw it was a VA loan, and he gave me a little bit of crap because I was in the Army, so he did a little trash talk, but shook hands, and I said goodbye to him. I got their phone number. We stay in touch, but but yeah, they accepted because I was I had the VA loan. That's just like an unwritten benefit of having it, is that situation I'm sure arises more often than not. Whereas a veteran selling the house and they see a VA loan, they're like, okay. My last house, one of the offers I had, it fell through unfortunately, but I saw it was a VA loan. I was like, you know what, I'll take that one over the other one that might have been slightly better.
Yeah, no, it's a real world truth. I mean, and I do that just even in my daily things. If I'm looking to have something done on the house, or go to a business or something, if it's veteran owned, that draws my attention. And
I'm the same way.
And 9 times out of 10, that's where I'm going to spend my money, right? So that network is huge. So you gotta be proud of it and make sure you're retaining those relationships, creating those new relationships, because there's only 1% of the population of us out there that served, right? So it is a finite, fraternity. And but it's important that we take care of each other and leverage it. It's really
the company I work for now, Quadrant Information Security, they're one of the most friendly for veterans organizations I've ever worked for. I would say at least half of our company is veterans. The gentleman that owns the company, president, he's a Marine veteran. All the guys in my department, I'd say about 60% of them are veterans. We just hired 2 more veterans. We're actually actively hiring. I don't know if I can drop the information here, but
yeah, absolutely.
Quadrant Information Security in Jacksonville, Florida.
Hiring actively, so look at it, check it out. Great company to work for, and like you said, it's all about networking. It's veterans helping each other out, and you had mentioned before the work ethic thing, and it really does carry on with you. I remember myself in particular before the military. I'm not going to say I was lazy, but I wasn't I wasn't motivated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Definitely a noticeable difference from before the military. And then when I get out, I'm like, just minor daily things. I'm like, man, this would have taken me 3 days to do before. Now I just take 10 minutes out of my day to get it done, and it's done.
Chris, as we wrap up here, I want to ask you, as I ask a lot of our guests, what does armed and ready mean to you?
Armed and ready, that can mean a lot of things. I think being armed is having the tools necessary to succeed. Like I said, you have your networking, your resume, all these things that you can consider your weapons for success, right? So you're armed. Being ready means being ready to use them. You need to know how to use them effectively. Part of networking could be people showing you how to use those tools effectively. And it's not just from veterans, but from, civilian friends or whatever. I leaned pretty heavily on some technical recruiters for their input, helped me tailor my resume a little bit. And that got me my current job, was just a little bit of assistance. But being ready is being able to use those tools that you've built and accumulated. That armed and ready, those 2 things, it's great.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It's always great to have, another veteran in the network and just learn your story, man, and share it. I think it's awesome what you're doing. And, thank you for your service, and we appreciate you, man.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you have any questions about the guests on the show, please reach out to me at valoanguy.us.